Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC, and welcome to Season 2 of Feeling Blue. Let's go. Okay, welcome back to Feeling Blue, and I'm doing this as a post-recording because last night I wasn't feeling the greatest. I still am not feeling the greatest, as you can probably tell. But I did want to address this game because it was such a polarizing result and a polarizing performance in general, and I felt like it needed to kind of address some of the things that happened in this game. And as usual, I've got my 7 points. We'll go from the good box to the bad box and then finish it off by me. I will crown the true blue myself. I usually do this as a poll on stream, but yeah, I'll do that myself. The first player I'm going to talk about here is a person that I've been putting in this good box for quite a lot of the time in this preseason, and it's Lavia. Now, I think that he is already kind of solidified himself as a 100% one of our starting midfielders in this system, because we've seen from other players that have come in here that they've been a lot more shaky than he has. He's been the one that's a bit more composed, a bit more technical on the ball, a bit able to get away from pressure. And we've seen from certain mistakes that we saw in this game versus Man City that we've seen that some of the other midfielders are just, they're just not 100% in tune with what Maresca wants, and I think Lavia is the one that is the closest to being that. I don't think any of them are particularly there at the moment. Obviously, we're still in pre-season. We've got 2 more games in pre-season to go. So, obviously, we've got the next game against Real Madrid, and then we've got one against Inter before the first game of the season. Now, I hope by that point, with the extra 2 weeks behind us, that we'll be a lot better in terms of making less individual mistakes, because I think that's kind of the way that we want to talk about this game as a whole, right? It's individual mistakes, just sloppiness from certain players, and yeah, I think that's kind of what I want to get onto immediately into the medium box now. I'm going to be putting Enzo Maresca here. Now, I don't think that the way we set up was particularly set up for a win, but I don't think that that was kind of what he was trying to do, if I'm being honest. I think that this game in general was a massive experiment, and I think that for the most part the decisions that he made throughout this game, I think were all kind of, let's just see what happens if I do this. So for example, playing Nkunku as a false 9 didn't really work. He played Colwell at the left hand side, that didn't really work. Obviously we saw eventually him shifting back into a more central position, and that was better for him. We saw Caicedo coming in for the first time, and in fact, whilst I talk about Maresca, I am going to be putting Caicedo here. I think the first mistake, the mistake for the first goal is criminal, and I know he hasn't played any football yet, so I'm being objective here and saying that he was bad. I don't think it was his fault. I think he just had a bad game, and it's kind of expected of him to have a bad game when you haven't played any football yet. But going back to Maresca, I just feel like there was a lot of experimentation that kind of happened in this game that didn't really work out. Like, for example, we didn't really play pure wingers. We played KDH in a bit of a weird position too. We obviously played Gusto overlapping on the left-hand side, and I did say in my preview that I had worries about Gusto playing on the left-hand side if he was going to be bombing up and down the pitch and getting into attacking areas, because once he's on his left foot, his delivery is not good, and we saw that from this game, that Gusto's delivery was not good, and we saw that he was a lot better when he came into the inverted role, which is what he should be playing. If he's in the team, Gusto should be playing in the inverted role, in my opinion. We also saw, obviously, James playing as a right centre-back again, and that kind of worked out a little bit well, but I think that he was clearly struggling for fitness, I think we can kind of say. But there's just a lot of individual things happening and individual mistakes happening. Luckily, towards the latter stages of the game, we did start to pick up a bit, and we got some positives to take from the game, and I will talk about them here. The first one being Raheem Sterling. Now, I've always given Sterling a bit of flack in general for the way that his decision making is not always the greatest, and sometimes he is a bit inconsistent. The one thing he has proved whilst playing for this Maresca Chelsea team is that he is one of our starting wingers on that left hand side 100% if we do not bring anyone else in. I think that the ship has sailed with playing other players in left wing, honestly, because there's no real options that are going to kind of provide consistent results. And even though Sterling is not the greatest in terms of consistency as well, he's more consistent than some other players that we'd have. Personally, I think that left wing was a position that we really needed to address in the transfer window, and we still haven't done that. I would have liked to see Tyreek George get some more minutes to prove himself on this left wing, because he's been a player that's played there. And quite honestly, if we continue the way we are going in terms of our left wing quality in general, I think that Nicholas Jackson is probably going to take the left wing spot if he is able to play there and is allowed to play there with Guiu up top, or Osimhen, or whoever comes in. If anyone does come in, obviously there's been talks of that, which I haven't really entertained because I don't think there's much of a point on doing that, to be honest. There we go. In this game, Sterling obviously got a goal. Usually when someone gets a goal contribution in these videos or in these streams, I always put them in the good box. Sterling was one of those. And in fact, I'm actually going to kind of include Noni Madueke here. He is the last point. But I'm going to include him here because I think it's a combination thing, right? Madueke obviously coming on off of the bench as well, and he proved immediately why he was 100% has to be our starting right winger if Palmer is not playing there. He was so much better than Mudryk was on that right hand side. Again, playing Mudryk on the right wing was a bit of a weird decision. I understand it, and I kind of felt like the way that we want to operate in this system is to play very much inwardly. We don't want to be cutting inside the majority of the time. It seems like we want to go around, get it onto our strong foot, and then put balls into the box, which is why KDH is such a important player for this team, because he's able to do that from that left centre mid position. I think a similar thing was trying to be put in here with Mudryk playing on the right hand side, because he is so pacey, he can get in behind, can deliver on that right foot, so maybe that's kind of why he was playing there. Don't think it suited him as well. Mudryk in general, I think, is just, he's getting to the point now where it's starting to get a bit like, it's starting, for me at least, to feel like we should cut our losses with him, honestly, because it doesn't seem like he's ever going to become the player that we kind of expected him to. I'll be happily proven wrong in that regard throughout this season, and I hope he does prove me wrong, but for now it doesn't seem like he's going to be improving. But yeah, Noni Madueke, he came on, obviously he got his goal as well from a transitional attack, which is good, which is fine. Obviously the pass from Lavia, again, was absolutely stunning, which is another reason why he's in the good box. But yeah, Madueke and Sterling, when they both came on, it kind of really shifted, like, wow, we can actually attack now. Like, it didn't feel like we had any kind of potency up top until these two came on. And obviously with Guiu coming on as well, Guiu really helped. I haven't put him in one of the boxes today, but he was a player that I think is another one where when he comes on, he does so much better than Nkunku in that striker role. And in fact, I am actually going to put Nkunku in the bad box here. I don't think he was, maybe this is a bit harsh for me to put him in bad. I think this is in fact, actually, yeah, that is a bit harsh. I'm going to put him in medium, because I don't think he played well. But I don't think it was his fault. I think that his natural position is one of a player that likes to drop deep and likes to get on the ball rather than making runs off of the ball. And this striker position that we have in this team seems way more suited to a player that is going to run in behind. And the one time we saw him actually run in behind, he got an opportunity. He just wasn't doing it as often. And obviously he was found by Enzo Fernandez with a very lovely delivery, and his shot was eventually saved by Ortega. But for the most part, he was just kind of getting in the way of other players, dropping into the midfield space, which other players are trying to take up, and it just wasn't really working for him. We obviously know that he can play as I've always said that he kind of plays like a 9.5, like a mixture between a 9 and a 10, but in this specific system, we've seen it now that he just doesn't suit playing as a striker for the way that this team wants to operate. So I'm going to be putting him in the medium box, just because I do think he improved when he came out of that position, and when he moved a bit deeper and Guiu came on, he was a lot better. And again, I don't want to dock him too many points because he was kind of put into that position, and it's not really his fault that he was playing there. So I can't be too harsh on him. A player that I will be harsh on though, and the final point I'll have for this, I want to keep this kind of short and sweet. I don't want to talk about it too much. We'll go a little bit more in depth in the lead-in for the Real game, but The last player I'm going to be putting in here is a bad, and it is for someone I've mentioned before, and that's Malo Gusto. This might have genuinely been Gusto's worst ever performance in a Chelsea shirt, in my opinion. Not only on the left-hand side was he just awful, not able to ever create anything for us. Obviously, that's him playing out of position, so I don't discredit him that much for that. But 2 of the goals were specifically his fault, and it's just a lackadaisical, just the ability to kind of just think for a split second more and actually play the pass accurately. He gave the ball away 2 times and we conceded off it twice, and in general I think that he was just a bit sloppier than we kind of expect him to be. Maybe he just had a poor game, which is fine. Everyone's going to have a poor game once in a while, especially someone like Gusto, who was so consistently good last year, or last season rather. I just don't think he was up to speed in this game, and maybe that's because his fitness isn't all there yet. He obviously wasn't starting in the first few games. He's now come in and played a few more games, so hopefully he can get behind that. And I do want to kind of mention that I think I did briefly say it, but like, our whole team in this game just felt really, really slow and really, really like lazy and very, very just tired. I don't know if it was the heat, obviously it was really, really hot. They had to have hydration breaks 2 times in the games because of it, and I don't know if it was because of that or because of a lack of preparation or whatever, but like half of our team looks so lackadaisical. Obviously Tosin Adarabioyo as well was another one of them. I think James was a bit lackadaisical at times. In general, I think Levi Colwill was a bit lax as well. Obviously, he was playing a little bit out of position for what I think is his natural position. I think he's better centrally, and he was kind of a bit slow as well. Obviously, he was kind of at fault for Oscar Bob's goal, which is a really good finish. And I did say in my preview that we need to double up on the kid because he is very, very good, and we didn't really do that, and we kind of allowed him to get inside and get his shot off. And yeah, it was just for most part. I don't think this was particularly a tactical problem today, or yesterday rather. That I think it was more so just the fact that there was too many experiments happening at once, that cohesion that we usually have just wasn't there. The cohesion that we saw against Club America wasn't there. We saw a lot of players looking really tired, so maybe that was a big factor, but also just, again, it was just a matter of individual mistakes and just not switching on. And it's unfortunate because we draw the second half 2-2, which is a good thing to say. We lose the first half 2-0, and let's talk about the first 2 goals as well, because first of all, the first one's never a penalty. I think Haaland has completely dived for that, and there we go. Sanchez gets near to the second attempted penalty when it's retaken and doesn't save it, unfortunately. But then to just not switch on and concede again immediately, and that was when Caicedo gave the ball away. And it's just the thing which sucked about this game is that we definitely had patches where we looked like the dominant team in the game, but because of those 2 moments where we switch off and just got hit by 1-2 punches twice. We got hit by a 1-2 punch in the first half and then a 1-2 punch in the second half, and we just switched off. And it's just those individual mistakes and those individual errors which are going to happen in any system, using any tactics, under any manager, and it's just annoying and it sucks really, because we thought that this could be a good test for us, and we did show that we were able to, at least in the second half, we showed that we were able to compete somewhat with these better teams. Obviously, the style that Pep Guardiola uses is so ingrained in City from the youth level all the way up to the first team. So, and he's been there for like 8 years now, so that's really ingrained in how they play. Whereas for us, the technical positional football and the technical passing football that Enzo Maresca is trying to employ is about 2 weeks or 3 weeks old. So, I'm not going to take too much negatives. Again, I'm not a person that's going to panic. I'm not a person that's going to be asking for managerial swaps or anything like that, but yeah, it was just in general just a sucky game, a really sucky game. And again, we could have, if we wanted to, we could have sat back and played transitionally and won this game, but I don't think that's particularly what Enzo Maresca was looking for in this game, and I don't think that it's wise for us to go into every single game in pre-season with the the mentality that we're going to win, which sounds silly because like you want to win every game, but it's like preseason, as I've mentioned before, is for experimentation, it's for making these mistakes, it's for seeing who can play where and that type of thing. And I think that's a lot of what we kind of did in this game, was just a lot of, can we get away with playing, for example, Gusto playing out wide? Can we get away with playing Mudryk on the right wing? Can we get away with playing Nkunku as a false 9? And a lot of the answers to those questions were no. And I think now that we've learned that, I don't think we'll see it again. I think Enzo has been doing a lot of kind of rejigging and kind of, let's see what our options are before we commit to a certain style and to a certain starting 11. And I would imagine against Inter we would probably see a more solidified starting 11 and more kind of the tactics that we'll be employing throughout the season. I think by Inter we'll have more of an idea of what we're actually going to do, whether we see James inverting, whether we see James at right centre back, whatever. I don't think the game against Real is going to be as experimental as this one, rather, but I do think there will still be a few kind of things that we probably won't see throughout the regular season, so we'll have to wait and see until then. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick feeling blue, like a post feeling blue, which is not something I do very often, but I did want to just do this for this game because I didn't get to do it yesterday, and it kind of irks me when I'm not able to upload. So I'm gonna personally say that our true blue in this game was Madueke. I think that he kind of came on and really kind of helped us to, he always brings a kind of level of energy and a level of spark and brings some kind of danger, even if he's not always producing goals and assists. So I think he did that very well in this game, and he's who I would personally suggest was our best player in the game. And that was just my feeling blue match review for this game. I hope to see you here for the next one. But if you can't wait until then, YouTube reckons you'll enjoy one of these two videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.